anyone could get there, and she'd have to meet them at the track, guide them in. She took a final look over the rock ledge and made her way down through the sparse forest and rockfall. Back at the truck, she did some minor first aid. A long gash from a broken branch stung her left cheek, and blood had dripped onto her shirt. She could cope with a facial scar, but the stain on her uniform would have to be dealt with. All her uniform shirts and trousers went to a tailor, unopened, and were altered to her requirements. Shirt sleeves shortened, small cuff mid-bicep. Trousers, men's fit, narrowed below the knee, fitting closely to the biker or cowboy boots she wore. The wide waist and narrow hip cut fit her perfectly. Much as she liked the formality of the ranger's uniform cap, it was hot and messed her hair. It lived a forlorn existence on the parcel rack in the cab. Put a clean shirt on now? Nah, wait till the cops are dealt with. She pulled the first aid box from below the passenger side of the dashboard, dabbed the gash on her cheek with tea tree oil, then ran some water through her hands and hair. The long, dark spikes ran in a partial mohawk along her crown, half flopping over her forehead. Short trimmed sides and longer, touching her collar at the back. Her styling was anything but fashionable. But, like Keith Richards, it was timelessly rock and roll. So much for the moth count. She took notebooks from her rucksack and filled in data while she waited. When she'd done that, she made a coffee on the small burner and did a tire check. She pulled the bonnet catch and checked her oil level and fluids, put down a tarp and checked the emergency water pipes strapped under the rear deck. She crawled further in towards the centre, where the drive shaft tunnel ran, and gave the dust-layered purpose-built stash tube a shake. Solid as. Even though the job was law enforcement, firearms were not approved ranger equipment. She could lose her post if they found the Remington rifle. But she wasn't travelling the outback sans protection. Not outback, not anywhere. Learnt that lesson long ago. Whenever her rig was due for workshop maintenance, she withdrew the rifle and underlay wrap and replaced it with tent poles and a waxed tent fly. Around 1 p.m, she saw the dust cloud drifting eastwards off the trail as a police cruiser approached, 10 kilometres distant. She watched through her binoculars, then swigged from her canteen and brushed non-existent sand from her trousers, stomped her boots, stretched her neck from side to side. 8 minutes later, the police vehicle arrived, sliding in the dust and gravel behind her truck. 2 plainclothes. The passenger climbed from the cruiser. It was rare to run into another woman on the job. She was about 5'8", pale hair pulled up off her neck, looked like she ran and worked out. She offered her hand. D.I. Liz Scobie. Firm, dry grip. Cal Nyx. She smiled grimly. The driver shut his door, stretched, blandly handsome, about 5'10", with a No. 1 haircut, try-hard tats on his left forearm. He shook Cal's hand. D.S. Glen Avery. Scobie slung notebooks and cameras into a pack, nodded at Cal. Not a pleasant find. Bit of a hike. You guys got plenty of water? Avery gathered equipment from the back of the vehicle. Aluminium cases and gear bags hit the ground. Lead the way. Scobie gave Cal a small smile. They set off. When they reached the site, Cal ran through her movements. I climbed up here, took a couple of photos, came down the same way. Haven't been up there. She lifted her chin towards the top of the bluff. Didn't move anywhere else around the scene. Avery dropped his gear. Scobie scanned the site. Can't tell if it was accidental. Body's in a bad way. Treat it as a homicide until we know otherwise. Avery unzipped one of the gear bags. Scobie directed. We'll do a walkthrough, then secure the scene. Go from there. I'll call the coroner. We're going to need pathology as well. State of the decomp. Need them here before dark, Avery said. Scobie turned away and made the call on a sat phone. Then she and Avery got to work.